My breath caught as warmth surrounded me. Hands that weren't as touch as I hadn't imagined. A moment I never expected. A soft gasp, a low groan. A slow, unrelenting rhythm. This was supposed to be for him. A way to give him what he wanted. But now I wasn't sure who was enjoying it more. Before we begin, take a short moment to like and subscribe. And if you can, please watch as long as possible. The longer you watch, the more YouTube recommends these stories to others, helping the channel grow and bringing you even more content. Now let's get started. I moved against him, slow and deliberate, feeling his body respond beneath me. His grip tightened at my waist, his breath coming in uneven bursts. It had been a while since he was like this, so desperate, so eager, so completely lost in the moment. But not because of me, his eyes weren't fully here. There was something distant about them, a flicker of something just beyond my reach. A hunger, a longing that didn't belong to me. I recognized it instantly. And I didn't resent him for it. I had seen the way his gaze lingered when a younger woman passed by. How his scrolling slowed at just the right photos. How his attention caught on certain faces, certain bodies. It wasn't disrespectful, wasn't even conscious most of the time. But it was there, a quiet fantasy. One he hadn't spoken aloud. I watched as he let go, giving in to whatever vision lived in his mind. Gripping my hips harder as he reached his peak. And as I lay beside him afterward, feeling the slow rise and fall of his chest, I made a decision. If this was what he wanted, I could give it to him on my terms. Morning lights spilled across the bed, casting soft shadows over his face. He reached for his phone, still half asleep. But I was already watching him. Last night's realization hadn't faded. If anything, it felt clearer in the daylight. I saw it, I said, my voice. Even his fingers paused just above the screen. Saw what? The way you looked at me, or rather the way you weren't looking at me. His eyes flicked mine, hesitation flickering across his face. He wasn't panicked, but he was treading carefully. I let the silence stretch, making him feel the weight of my words before I continued. You don't have to explain. I already know. I reached out, my fingers trailing lightly over his chest, grounding him, keeping the moment intimate. I want to give you what you want. His body stiffened, but he didn't pull away. And what do I want? I held his gaze, watching the way his throat tightened, the subtle shift in his breathing. Something younger. A slow exhale left his lips measured and controlled. But I saw the reaction in his eyes. He sat up slightly, running a hand through his hair. You don't have to. I know, I interrupted smoothly. But I want to. The air between us thickened, the weight of unspoken fantasies pressing down. His body language was conflicted, torn between desire and hesitation. I could see the war in his head, the battle between wanting this and being afraid to say it out loud. Are you sure? His voice was lower now, testing the waters, waiting for me to take it back. I leaned in, brushing my lips against his ear, letting him feel my breath before I whispered. I wouldn't have brought it up if I wasn't. I pulled back, holding his gaze, watching the tension shift into something else. Something raw and unspoken. He didn't say yes, but he didn't say no. And that was all I needed. The idea had gone from a whispered fantasy to something real. We'd spent nights searching, scrolling through profiles, dipping our toes into something neither of us had ever considered before. At first it was simple. We were looking for her, his fantasy. I was just making it happen. But nothing felt right, too forward, too fake, too forced. Then a message popped up, a couple. I hesitated. This wasn't the plan. I had agreed to bring another woman into our bed, not change the rules before I could say no. He spoke. What if it's not just for me? I turned to him, meeting his gaze. There was something deliberate in the way he said it, like he had been waiting for the right moment. What do you mean? His lips curled slightly. If we're doing this, and why not make it something we both enjoy? I exhaled, shaking my head. That's not why we started this. He didn't argue, he just watched me patient. Certain, so plans change. I should have shut it down. Reminded him that this wasn't about me. But then he reached for my hand. Voice quieter, now you deserve this too. I swallowed, I don't need. You think I haven't noticed the way men look at you? He tilted his head slightly. You don't even see it, do you? I had the glances, the fleeting moments of interest. But I had never let myself entertain the thought. And now he was asking me to. I hesitated, feeling the weight of it. But as I looked into his eyes, I knew he wasn't just trying to convince me. He wanted this for me too. A slow breath, my fingers tightening around his okay. His eyes flickered with something unreadable. A slow smile, and just like that, we crossed a line we could never uncross. We sat in the dim glow of the living room. The weight of what we were about to do settling between us. Neither of us spoke at first. The anticipation, the uncertainty. It was all there, hanging in the air. I exhaled slowly. So how is this actually going to work? He shifted beside me, rolling his shoulders. I guess we figure it out as we go. I gave him a look, that's not a plan. He had to laugh, rubbing the back of his neck. Okay, fine. Do we stay in the same room or separate? The thought made my stomach tighten. Same room, I said quickly, then hesitated. I think he raised a brow. You think I mean? Being apart feels weird, right? Yeah, he admitted, dragging a hand down his face. And do we just start? I let out a short laugh. Do we need a signal? A whistle, he smirked. God, no. I shook my head, pressing my fingers to my temples. This is so surreal. He opened his mouth to respond. A knock at the door, we both froze. I turned to him, heart hammering. Are you ready? He swallowed hard. Guess we're about to find out. He stood and headed for the door. And I gripped the couch, listening as laughter and footsteps filled the air. And just like that, it had begun. The moment the bedroom door shut, hesitation disappeared. Heat rose between us, thick with anticipation, charged with the weight of what we were about to do. Clothes slipped away, bodies pressed together. Hands explored, mouths claimed. The younger woman wasted no time, her fingers slipping beneath my husband's waistband, working his belt open with a slow, knowing rhythm. His breath hitched, his muscles tensing beneath her touch. And I felt the shift inside me. This wasn't just a fantasy anymore. It was happening, but I wasn't a bystander. I turned, meeting the younger man's gaze, my fingers trailing over his chest, feeling the tension rippling beneath his skin. I mirrored her movements, my lips grazing his jaw, my hands venturing lower, reveling in the way his breath came faster beneath my touch. He exhaled sharply, responding to me in a way that sent a thrill through my veins. Then in one fluid motion, strong hands lifted me. A quiet gasp escaped as I was lowered onto the bed, my body settling into the soft sheets, his weight shifting over me. His lips found my skin, trailing lower, teasing, claiming. The sensation sent a deep shudder through me, unraveling me in slow, aching waves. Before I could process the heat pulling inside me, the younger woman moved above me, her breath warm against my skin, her body pressing into mine as she settled over me, pinning me beneath her. A quiet moan left her lips as she rocked forward, her pleasure mixed with mine, her movement slow and intoxicating. I heard my husband groan deep and guttural, his fingers twisting into her hair as she worked him with steady, deliberate movements. I felt the rhythm building, every touch, every sound weaving together into something primal, something unstoppable. Then hands gripped my hips from behind, pulling me onto my knees. A deep rolling heat coursed through me as a slow, insistent rhythm took hold, rocking me forward, driving me deeper into the chaos around me. My fingers clenched the sheets, pleasure pulsing through every nerve as I surrendered to the intensity, to the feeling of being completely taken. Across from me the younger woman arched, rolling her hips in time with my husband's movements. Her breath coming in ragged gasps. His grip tightened on her waist, guiding her, matching her rhythm. But his eyes flicked toward me, locking onto mine, watching me, needing me, wanting me just as much as he wanted her. And then another shift, deeper, stronger, overwhelming. I felt them on all sides, bodies pressing, hands gripping, moving in sync, sending pleasure through me in wave after relentless wave. Every inch of my skin burned with sensation. My breath caught in my throat. The overwhelming mix of touch, movement and sound stripping away any lingering hesitation. I was beyond thought now, lost in the pleasure, in the heat, in the wild, unrestrained rhythm that held me captive. The tension coiled tighter, reaching a fever pitch, the air thick with breathless moans and muffled cries. My body trembled, every muscle wound impossibly tight. The pleasure spiraling higher, threatening to consume me whole. And then release. A sudden, breathtaking wave crashed over me, shaking me to my core, leaving me weightless and trembling. In its wake I gasped, body still pulsing, my breath uneven as I collapsed into the sheets, completely undone around me. The others followed, the room filled with the aftermath of raw, unfiltered pleasure for a long moment. None of us moved. I turned my head, meeting my husband's gaze. His chest rose and fell with ragged breaths. His skin flushed, his eyes dark with something I had never seen before. Not just desire, something deeper. Something awakened, and in that moment, I knew we had just stepped into something new. And there was no turning back. The room was thick with heat, the scent of sweat and satisfaction lingering in the air. My body was still humming, every nerve alive, my breath slow but uneven. I lay tangled between them, skin against skin, the weight of what we had done settling over me like a warm, unshakable presence. My husband turned to me, his fingers brushing along my arm. His eyes unreadable, there was something different in his gaze. Not just fulfillment, not just desire. It was something deeper, heavier. We had gone somewhere neither of us had ever been. And now we stood on the other side, forever changed. The younger couple shifted, exchanging quiet, knowing smiles before gathering themselves, moving with an ease that made me realize this wasn't new to them. But for us it was. This wasn't just an indulgence. It was a choice that had rewritten something fundamental in our marriage. As the door clicked shut behind them, silence settled over us. I exhaled, turning onto my side, meeting my husband's gaze once more. He studied me, searching, then smirked, a slow, satisfied grin that sent a new kind of heat curling in my stomach. I let out a breathless laugh, shaking my head as I whispered, "Well, now what?" I told myself this was for him, a way to make his fantasy real. But now I'm not sure who enjoyed it more. Would you ever cross this line for the person you love? Or did we take it too far? Let me know what you think in the comments. I want to hear every perspective. And if you enjoyed this, like the video, subscribe and turn on notifications by clicking the bell icon, so you won't miss the new videos when they drop. Thanks for watching.